1, you're live.
From Saratoga Racetrack in New York to Santa Anita Park in California, horse racing spans the United States and has always been part of the American culture. Millions of dollars exchange hands every year, chasing 1,200-pound investment vehicles running on legs that are more slimmer than the average humans. Tragically, the sport has been trained by the use of steroids and painkillers, the administration of which masks injury and creates an unfair advantage by allowing horses to race that are not physically up for the challenge. Recently, the general public has become more aware of the sacrifices breeders are making in prestigious races as horses break down in front of their eyes. According to Alan Jane, racehorses in America are the victims of a multi-billion industry that is rife with drug abuse, injuries, and death. First, we are going to take a look at the drugs that are used and how they affect horses. The most common threat to racing is the intentional use of drugs, where the trainer or whoever is administering the drugs knows what it can do to the horse in the short term and the long term, and they believe that there is no test for that drug, so they are safe to use it. In general, what is legal and what has been banned varies by jurisdiction. What has been banned in Saratoga, New York is not necessarily banned in Tampa Bay Downs. Racing, like all other equestrian sports, does not ban all drugs, partly because some drugs are known for therapeutic effects and are okay to use. For example, a drug known as Lasix is both permissible and widely used. Bute is a common equine painkiller that even at my barn we use. Fluxin is also a drug that is used. In Kentucky Racetrack, you are allowed to use it in small amounts, but then again, it's only a small amount. You cannot go over that amount that is allowed to be used. Unfortunately, banning harmful substances is only the first step in addressing the issue of steroids leading to racehorse breakdowns. Banning drugs is only effective if those bans can actually be enforced and will be enforced. Many of these drugs are used in combination without knowing the effects of the physical health of the horse in the short term and the long term, while others not mentioned occur less frequently but are more potent and have serious side effects lasting a very long time. Now that is understood what drugs are given and how they affect horses, let us observe two different racetracks. One racetrack uses very strict rules and the other one does not have strict rules at all. 4 horse deaths in 4 days, 10 in 3 weeks. Tampa Bay Downs had in 2011, and that kept on going up. It is a record for any race facility according to RCI. In 2013, NYRA completed a testing in 40 states. They wanted to see which states truly used a law of drug abuse and the states that weren't enforcing the drug use either. 500 randomly tested racehorses were observed. Florida came in first with the amount of illegal usage being 241 out of 500 racehorses tested positive for an illegal drug. That is almost half. California was next, and then Ohio. According to RCI, Florida and California have the most drug usage, broken bone, and horse deaths for various reasons. It's pathetic though, because you think of that statistic that came out in 2013, that they would go ahead and make the drug rules stricter, but they haven't. Jorge Navio, his horse was drug tested and had an anti-inflammatory drug 200 times greater than what is allowed at Tampa Bay Downs. He was only kicked out for 6 months and then allowed to continue racing his horses. He has had over 35 charges of illegal drug usage being used in his horses. However, he has not been kicked out permanently. Why? I do not know, and I do not understand. Now let's see the difference in racetracks that have stricter drug rules and regulations, enforce rules, and their horses are tested before and after every single race. A total of 11 horses have died in the past 6 years, according to her satellite, at the Saratoga Racetrack. Jockeys are tested for drugs before and after each race. Horses are drug tested before and after each race. They are also weighed before and after too. 24 hours before the race, the jockey is not allowed to come in contact with the horse at all. The owner and stable hands may, but however, in Saratoga, Kentucky, Tennessee, there are video cameras all throughout every stable. Now, New York, Kentucky, and Tennessee only had 5 or less horses test positive for illegal drug usage out of 500. Their drug regulations are 10 times stricter than that of all other racetracks. The horses are allowed only a minimum amount of drugs, and those drugs are allowed only in small amounts that have been proven not to affect the horse's health for a short-term or a long-term period of time. It's usually just to take the edge off of the nervousness. In conclusion, strict regulation of medication is necessary in an industry where public confidence is the sport's integrity to fundamental success. Now that you know what drugs are given and how they impact horses, you've also seen the difference between a strict racetrack and one that is not very strict at all. Overall, the benefits of drug testing being enforced and upheld outweighs all of the negative variables that are involved. Would you rather go to a racetrack that allows illegal usage of drugs and has triple the death rate of any other horse racetrack? Or would you want to go to a racetrack that has a low death rate and very strict drug rules? And that is why the policy of strict drug regulation should be the same at all racetracks. Thank you.
I do apologize for my dogs interrupting in the middle of the speech.